No, I won't hear it. Anything but. You are the most beautiful girl in the world. No other voices need be heard to describe what I see for myself. It is the feeling of what feels right. The gestalt of this is just as apparent, and the way is the way. Here we stand, on the precipice of tragedy and delight, walking with fears of love and sensibility. The patience of sensibility is lifeless, however, without the passionate way of the lover. Who has tears of sincerity. A handkerchief and a tome of knowledge and experience to guide and to fall. For the advertisement of the lover's way is vast, making notes and inferences of standards, their own way that is distant to the soul's path, that renders this star's gravity, of which the heart feels inside, helps us remember the way. The way is not easy. It gives us much pleasure in its pain. With this heart giving its wake of emotion measured by its sincerity. So I would like only this effort take me to what will be the fatalism, regardless of religious formulas, dictating in my ears the traditions of foundations that supposedly secure us, but make us weak by ignorance. Philosophy and meaning one finds in life is real. As the person or sentient being who can be lost or found by this feeling, and the tomes are rewritten. For it is not found eternally, but by the nature of temporality. We reassess. The movement and the patterns that stand under the sun and say, I, crying in the river that moved Latium to the Mecca and the ocean, and moved the Nordic to the New World, and exclaiming, the dance of July. In return, as acceptance to these movements and the tolerance that endureth those tears, finally the wisdom gained from it, not as tradition, but as pliable education. Dance, our last custom, either the transcendence of Vedic or the enlightenments of the Overland, could not resist in the Shakespearean acclaim to the fool who tries not to be a fool. But in its trials, see the sun shine on a fine stage. And applicates, proffering the heart's movement to make shape. In the trees, the feathered shades, colored birds practicing their art. Of attraction and distraction. Their actions of vocation. This orchestration of nature's way, the sound of intricate chirps and squawks, in play and dismay, the creation, their way, at home, inside a temporary rhythm, the Ra or the sun, inside the atmosphere enrichment of wet, untamed winds, turning into new reverberations, the larger rhythm, a memory of different births and deaths. Like tides surmounting, a river pours from what it was into a new rebirth and issue of nature's intent. Oh, what jolly fools, who on stools do tickle their bellies with jest, recreation of familiarity in retorts. Wondrous fibers string through the air, from civility's way of creating a meal to soothe the suction. The belly tickles, and like the birds who decrescendo with synchronicity to the sun, wink eyes curl to a home. Within or without, we wander in Morpheus. in the evening or in the morning, as we like it, to the company of electric lights and kettle whistles. We look at the tome, others write it, taking time to think, contemplate, and wonder, in doubt to the dismay of their soul, for the price of origination. Create the tone of prosperity, a seed of new life and hope. Perhaps even an illusion to appease the soul's contentment. Nevertheless, an aim like an arrow to the sky. Inside, crying for the sake of its wishes, and the mark of its aim. Carrying away with it the tragedies of recent losses and the dreams and landings of contentment. Tome's existence by the sofa or under the mat. She cast a shadow over her menacing features, only recently put there after sharing the mirroring glance with a fanciful acquaintance, stepping over the tome with a cultivated effort not to notice it. Whence did she forget that beauty was not in the mirror, but in the tone? Her tattered frails and whisks of ornamental details swung with the murky waters of a soul-driven body, flickering against the forest of her dwelling, also a mirror of masking efforts of what she hid under the mat. And whisper, as it did to her, in the inevitable surrender to the armchair of reflection, a tear would go rolling to wet the pages of meaning that stood like transient fools of both ugliness and beauty. Though she were not alone, tenfold company stood in the club of ignorance's salvation. Pity, our word strapped to the stake, for a burning of fear and piousness to the club, but never lost is the way with hope and humility slung over one's shoulders for the sojourn. If God's palace, as depicted by the authors who bought the rights, has the mercy of love and understanding, then so do we. Of the way would water the soil that surroundeth the roots of prosperity. Ornaments of dashing devilry notwithstanding, the leaves that have no use only fertilize the lands of love, no matter what wars were waged there. Pity is taken with these illustrations into the tome, as is marked by the wisdom bearers, whom hold whips to be cruel as to be kind, and challenged are they by us who also borrow our holes for homes upon the land, and have proclaimed that God is dead. The palace now, only a reverie for all, and a liquid pot of gold to wet what is virtuous. What are we going to do now? A meaning for a lost species. A species currently in doctorate under a corporate head of material productivity and consuming cycles. The innate nature in us, it is not flowering. We are incipient and cold in our intentions. Our motivations are nothing. In relation to the picture in the window of sublimity, these humanitarian values that are instilled among the myths that span the compass amount to a vague philosophy of righteousness impelled by fear. I am rejecting a consuming society that does not communicate its cultured ideas. its independent intelligence or imagination, rents an expensive terrace in Carlton. The cultured playground fires subliminal messages of useless nihilism, and the list increases. In a void of production to nowhere, the budding students of curiosity in the Colosseum of Socrates will have to die like their father, but with new words. Oscar Wilde infers in The Critic as Artist that those who have ambitions are ugly. This is, I think, he meant that those who have ends in which their determination degenerates the quality of the means mislays beauty. I too suffer as a creative person who seeks not only the joy of the creative act, but the intelligence in which it is served as an end. Recognizing these limitations, I still further cannot not expect to satisfy the will or its urge in projecting my work. It's, as all things are in this life, an irresolution. Balance is a thing perhaps romanticists know nothing about. And there is something noble, perhaps, of romanticists and the earnesty in which they reach for sublimity. The work of my life. One is defined by their work in comparison to what they profess. I hope to be a positive, if need be critical, proficient and prolific, if slightly vulgar, and intelligent without the arrogance of abstinence. Artist. What is an artist? They transfigure both good and bad into beauty out of an intelligent zeitgeist. If subjective interpretations lead to temporary interpretations, then I have, in this moment, had many. I will, however, neither sign to the devil's club or evangelist, in order to see more than they either allow. I am different now and then, and it cannot be any other way. From materialism to idealism, there must be something in between. I find that my work serves both of these with gradual twists and turns. The cup, however, should never be full. Keep the cup neither empty or full, but somewhere in between. Another moment, and another lesson. Calling out to thee, swing from this stage to that stage, and somewhere in between. I am but a bee, and we are nothing ever than still. No bitter, none worse than the fear of fate. To a degree, it must be left to be done. I have a mind, and it is a mirror to the sea. Chalice of hope and other fanciful things, be a chip on my shoulder for any gusty gale. Shattering on the pavement my hopelessness sought, to pick the pieces of iron-faced wart. My face I know, and countless others dither. Whether here we meet is rare, but beautiful. Like the chalice once proudly displayed in the stages of history. My history at best, so long as I think it is new. Better now than never, I reason, when all I do is dabble in loving you. What are we going to do, I ponder, when all the yonder I answered that. It's a trifle slender multiplied ubiquitous, but that is my prose, and what better answer to my systematic anticipation? What are we going to do now, I wonder, when all I can do is build on the pillars of the past and sketch in my notebook the blueprints of an art known to all in this life. Sweet mind, veal time, and harrowing moments, the latter preferred forgotten. Hello, Avon, in this time of mine. I'm just spending my time easy with a rhyme. Write me soon. The space of this old church never could I hurt with a confession of my extreme non-committal. I thank thee anyway for the day in this majesty. Beating the time outside, I'm certain they just don't build them like these anymore. Dignity is for the future attendants of these sanctuaries, be them egalitarian, Marxist, or from the X generation. These are palace stations, of the postmodern medium masters. At least I hope and dream of these Ubersmensch and saintly saints emerging here from the age of mass mania. "40 days and so many more than I could bother to count," answers that in which one beckons for my spitting in the queries of fate. The best laugh I ever had was when I forgot who I was. This bench of foul socks awaiting their time of exhibiting the crunch forget too. How stupid they were and are likely to be. Unconscious? Yes. Their moment of glory in the pit of muscles. But we too forge arrows to strike lovely damsels. To take not in time, but in spirit. Waking from arms of distant memories, the eternal spirit suckles my homely breasts. Not to mention the mere possibility that its loveliness is not canceled by Nostradamus' mess. Neither he or you could say which day loveliness could be disemboweled. But that's a game for the intelligent germs spreading their mold of lies. But without them, we would be like seafarers without compass or knowledge of the celestial patterns. Mirror to the sea, make me your long song, your interim of rugged waves and inhospitable gales. To the break of sand and sea, bury me. Echo and high in my ears, your cry belittles me, thankfully. What do I do? My past must ask. And the background, the busy streets, going to meet something. Who? An owl thing. Wind speaks. And I can't answer thee. The tide is changing. The waves keep breaking. And you turn your face on me. What do I do? I need no longer ask. When wonder outwits itself in the need for our feet, and it's waiting, whispering warmth. The crevice where the sun first shed its conscious proclamation, my passive observation down the leaded path. You cry to me your habituation among shafts of this former derivation, and I make my mark with silvery tones in the very apparent desperation. Not the notebook of a weary wanderer, but the object of day-to-day constellations. Albeit the light that shineth in times sacred, again from the magic of this silvery tongue, this maketh better in conscious perspiration. But the encapsulating sanctum in sweet scent of silentium amoris that flirts for always too shortly is not made in perspiration, but from the morphic fields of that salty origin. Again, for the better of this haze, in dawn's most challenging gaze, my pulsating matter is in danger of this nattering, but hence without the tongue of other analysis. How is it my forebears of statue upon statue silence the clucks of numb herd, and with their silver tongue did not speak with still clever clucks, but with a bow from neuron high, the organic matter, with brain stopped to look, and the trees spoke thusly, and the wind sat thusly, and the sea broke calm in the high tide of this time. The Creator spoke in echoes, and could not stop, even if they wanted to. The earth rolled in a murmur, and the stars winked in a blessing. At the trials of the Creator, who asked, "What are we going to do?" I miss you, the widow wailed, and a river of blue morn sent its message of love lost down the street of a well-to-do community. I miss you, the widow repeated, and a hum began around the wall of her terrace, magnifying the memories of her ill-to-do contrivity. Contrived? How dare you? The morality of the times spoke. And a mere shatter to the humming of soul sewage soup that had been boiling in her kitchen of thoughts, had given itself a glimpse of escape, but not for we. And we, the commune of well-to-do, echoed, but for what? The glimpse reappeared. What am I to do? The inchworm reckoned against the waft of travesty's morn, and a cloud cleared. If only for relief, she excused, and a joy beacon beckoned her, which she did not resist. I miss you, she exclaimed with some confusion, and the beacon did not scurry in its own sensitivity, but like a player of some familiar game. The beacon replied, I know. Libertatis and other ambiguous subjects. The latter being the arrow of my displeasure. Libertatis and its inherent ambivalence, the reason why my will reels the weeks of exercise. Gather thee arms in codes of armor clamor. The mighty spirit of vengeance seek libertatis. Then weather in storm and tornadoes, reek with a wash bowl of codes. Libertatis and other ambiguous subjects reflects on where the wash bowl reeked. Libertatis and its inherent ambivalence, reasoned in hindsight, the wasted bodies ashore, branded by the codes of a storm. Flute and guitar in Mars and Mercury, mellow in my nickel, a gesture. Away! It's time for cadence and submission of other worldly things. But a graze in my generous feast. This music goes on. A daze in this bliss. Only a maze awaits outside. Hooray! The concert gadgery. I am one with you. Please forbade any conclusion till my inspired depart. Erotic means to ends. My head does not even consider. Good day, I play in warm, carnal mystery. I know not what it is I do. I care not. And thankfully this pleasure has an infinite base variety. To objectify the unobjectionable is the soothsayer's misfortune. This tragedy is a Shakespearean delusion. The cat pissed on the floor, damn it. I'll never marry you, body. To gradually mock me, body. And your puppet friends of tomfoolery.
Why don't we do some percussion?
What guess? To assume my blinded hope of agnostic truth. Is this your joke? Of dancing forms, great and wide, and wink before my eye in patterns of nonsense. I'll never nurture you, body. Not to the tenuous end and degenerate bonds of age. Not for sake of religious preach that hopes to breach the dubious ends. Cut it off, I say. If you have an endless headache, cut it off. Sometimes a love lingers as a siren's lust to piece together a narrative of expressions. Souls wrought with waste wish to wash the willows within and wake the making mother of drowned darlings Bitter is the calling of the sympathetic symphony, a pain cut. For the pinnacle of life's jubilation. Ah, sweet surrender.
Play nicely.
My inevitable ends are a sentence stopper. And you are my peaceful silence. Ah, sweet, humble surrender.
Girl. Liberated young love. It's a wrap. And it's a
The Banes fueled their resistance of will to live. Individuality, a private vacuum. Of the socially perverse. Scholars of momentary insight. Of poems on the dances. Love bite. A promise you'll be there for the pain. I have a fantasy of a bathtub of bronze in a Russian summer. The first hand of a tree's shadow supports a drying line for my city clothes of fire bubbles. And I read of untimely things, patching pieces of a salubrious intelligentsia. My flute speaks with a strife of fawn and dotage. A strife I am involved with. Shakespeare's eloquence notwithstanding. The axiom of earnest science. Surrounded by the mad, the movers and shakers. Delia Salter Bacon guffaws at my interest. Nietzsche thrashes out dregs of mystical piety. Bodenheim offers a mordant troubadour stare. Socrates drives me to no end. Ad infinitum, and dearest dog, Einstein sobers the moment. Introducing Afro Daisies. Misty river in myself. Can't call the constancies of help. Only chattering in deep city. Along no time. Jovial behavior in unprecedented. Cast many flavors on id. Hey you, they're reading this. Might is slight in slightly choice. The reader's voice, of course.
At bottom, no man's stomach. Bigger
Mockery
than any other.
is flogging my horse. happy is happy where he is. I can't find beyond mystic rhyme. The woe is woe. I am not a nihilist. I say, in God's hay, is not worthy eating, but I flatter Radio National is my fashion, in pay to the intelligent way. My eagle and my serpent search the lands for rest. Eternity eludes us all. A couple of those, my good man. I'll take them home tonight. Smile to you my plight. Maybe this facade, although it doesn't really matter. Outside my window, tweeting goes the fluffy creature, and doesn't even ask for money. A day smells of something new, but seems to me a lie. Another die in the pot. Pursuance of your many self, down the mountain fall, and up the stairway crawl, with a wagon of clothes fixture. Which one will do for this picture? I heard a lady singing, a message in my heart. Take me to your grinning palace of sheer art. American accents Swearing on TV screens? Nothing makes sense. A contemporary philosophy. The child's virtue in not being told is that they can't reach to pick flowers.